A city firefighter riding a bike to work was hit by a private bus this morning. 39-year-old Matthew Long is in critical condition.
His condition is grave, and I ask all New Yorkers to pray for him.
He had about 1% chance to survive.
I leave the question at the end of that video, and I ask everyone in the audience before I speak, would you have the will to carry on? Would you have the will to continue to fight, to want to compete again in a race that doesn't have a clear finish line? But when done, it will define you as a person for the rest of your life. For me, after the days of September 11th, 2001, I did a reality check about my life. I like to talk of it as an inventory check. I didn't like the way my life was going. I was slightly overweight. I was drinking more than I should have to depress what really happened those days, the memories of losing friends and family. What I decided was that I needed to start setting goals for myself. I needed to take care of my body. As a firefighter, fitness is our best tool. And we have a slogan at the Academy that says, "Let no man's ghost come back to say his training let him down." I didn't want my training to let me down. If something happened to me and it was my day to go, I didn't want it to be because of me and my shortcomings. Now, as we grow up as children, we dream. I remember dreaming as a kid. I remember every night going to bed with a dream in my head, whether it was to play college basketball, high school basketball, or to date the girl around the block. You didn't wake up in the morning and it came true. As you become an adult, those dreams have to become goals. But if you want to achieve your goals, there's three important things you have to do. You have to set a plan that's going to get you there. You have to commit to that plan, and you will make sacrifices. After September 11th, I remember setting two goals for myself. I one day wanted to be a Boston Marathon qualifier. I wanted to run in New York. We have a race within the race against the police department in New York City, the firemen and cops. And I wanted to be part of that team that the fire department has to beat them. They only tally the first 5 scores, first 5 runners. That was one goal I set for myself in 2004. 2004, I also said it, if I was going to push myself this hard, I wanted to complete an Ironman. Those of you in the audience that might not know what an Ironman is, it's a 2.4-mile swim, a 112-mile bike ride, and a marathon, 26.2 miles, with a time limit of 17 hours to finish. 17:01, and they say, better luck next year. You don't get a T-shirt. You don't get a medal. It's a long day. Now what I had to do is I was 38 years old. Wasn't an endurance athlete. I was a college basketball player. I ran around the streets of the city. I've owned 2 or 3 businesses where the action was fast. I enlisted a coach. Together we devised a plan, and I committed to him and to that plan that I would make every workout count. Sacrifices came in the way of nightlife in the city, family functions, getting to bed at 9 o'clock on Thursday because Friday morning you had to get up at 5 a.m. and ride your bike for 100 miles and then run 8 miles afterwards. My family thought I was crazy. They were right. I was on top of the world. I was in the best shape of my life, 39 years old. And I thought that I had achieved those goals, and I thought that those commitments and those sacrifices I made were for those 2 moments in my life. 5 weeks later, I'm struck and run over by a 40,000-pound bus in the streets of New York City. It took the rescue workers 15 to 20 minutes to lift the bus remove the bicycle from my abdomen, and get me to a hospital. There wasn't a gentleman or a woman on the scene that thought I would survive the night. As you saw it in video, my doctor said I received more than 68 units of blood in the first 10 or 11 hours. I think at some point some of the nurses in the room thought that they were wasting blood, that I wasn't going to make it. It turns out that those commitments and sacrifices I made all throughout that year played a big role in saving my life. I spent 5 months in a hospital, lost more than 55 pounds, had 42 different surgeries in a 14-month period of time. And when I talk to people about my accident and the pain I went through and the broken bones and the torn skin, it is nothing compared to the mental battle with depression. Why me? Why did this happen to me? Not why was I hurt, why was I going through this, but why did I not die? Why was I meant to survive? Why was I meant to carry on and continue to try and race? It turns out that that training I was doing wasn't for Boston, and it wasn't for the Ironman in Lake Placid. I was training for life. And with the battle of depression came a search for a reason, a search for purpose. I sunk deeper and deeper into depression. And at that moment with my parents, after a doctor's visit, I said something I should never say, or no one should ever say to their mother. I said, Mom, I'm glad you prayed, and your prayers were answered, and I lived, when you should have prayed for me to die. There was a moment of silence at the table as the tears came out of all my dad's eyes, my mom's, and mine. And I expected her to reach across the table and hug me. But she put her hands down on the table and said, enough is enough. We may not have gotten hit by that bus, but we are suffering alongside you. And you don't need me to tell you that you're not the only person in this world going through a tough time. You are not the only person suffering, Matthew. You need to pick up the pieces. You need to make your life the best you can possibly make it. Not only am I dealing with physical challenges, but the mental challenges and the mental fights continue because I have to let go of who I used to be. I used to go to Central Park and do sub 6-minute mile repeats. I used to run 6:22 off a bike after doing 50 miles on a bike in a half Ironman. I had to let go. I had to accept who I was now. But I wasn't finished because I told you I was a little crazy. So I wasn't finished. And I knew if I could run that marathon and finish, that I can go back up to Lake Placid and attempt the Ironman one more time. 2.4 miles in the Mirror Lake, 112 miles in the mountains of the Adirondacks, and then a 26.2-mile run, also in a very hilly course. I finished that race in 16 hours, 58 minutes, and 6 seconds. Thank you. The best part about my night was I wasn't last. I now no longer ask why I survived, why I got hurt. Instead, I embrace it, and I use it to go visit people in the hospital, to go visit people that are going through what I'm going through, to show them that it's not just a verbal slogan, the light at the end of the tunnel. I say, here I am. I was where you were. And what got me through it was not only a strong Irish Catholic mother, but was the power of I will and the power of the human spirit. It's an incredibly powerful tool that we all underuse at one point in our lives. Thank you.